what's up, everyone? It's the first gospel grit of this new year, and just continuing the theme even of the past sermon about godly ambition and a desire for glory, how we all naturally seek glory, when no one's indifferent to glory, and the ambitions that are tied with that, the desires that are tied with that, how even Christ is a real sense where he chose humility because humility would lead, in a sense, to exaltation. And Christ took that path, as it were. So just continuing with this theme of, I know many of us are going to set goals. Many of us are going to want to do great things. And I know that at times we can be frustrated with the current state in which we're in. And that can weigh us down. I'm not where I want to be. I'm starting so far back. I should have been here, and it's always this, that, or the other. But what I want to focus on today is this reality of motivation and even the enjoying the process, as it were. And I'm going to highlight someone that's a neuroscientist, meaning he does studies on the brain and how the brain works. And sometimes, these guys, that's their end, right? They're not beginning with Christ. They're not ending with Christ. They're not in a world that's governed by Christ. It's not Christ or chaos for them. So when they discover these things, they think that they've found some, breakthrough technology where this is the new thing. We finally discovered why we're wired the way that we're wired, why we do things the way that we do. And when I see these things, I think, oh yeah, that makes sense, because that's how God has governed the world. That's how God has ordered the world. And so, have you ever noticed that God placed Adam in a garden to keep it and to work it and to extend the garden to the ends of the earth, meaning that he was going to have to do all that labor, all that keeping. He was going to take that beautiful garden, yes, but he's going to take that beautiful garden and extend it and to work it and to fill it with more beautiful, lush plants and take care of the animals and raise a family in it. You ever notice that God placed Adam in the garden with his bride to work and keep that garden, to extend it, and all of that time, all of that reality was his worship to his God, meaning that Adam had to enjoy the process, meaning that the very act of the toil, the very act of the seeking to achieve the goal, that was the worship, that was the joy, that was the motivation, right? So when this guy, this neuroscientist, his name is Andrew Huberman, he's blowing up on YouTube and social media because everyone wants to know how to get the most out of your brain, how to have these brain hacks, or how to live a more motivated life. And he's looking at the brain and he's seeing how it works, and he's seeing what chemicals are released at what times and so forth. So he's giving information. But this one, I was watching this video and I found it really unique, and it's titled "You Will Never Lack Motivation Again." And what he goes on to say is that what he's noticed is when humans attain their goal, the amount of dopamine that's released, and dopamine is basically that chemical that's released that fuels you to do what you're doing, that it's kind of like a momentary high, as it were, right? In fact, social media, whenever you see alerts pop up on your phone and you have 3 notifications and that makes you excited, that's dopamine. And then 10 minutes go by and you open up your phone again, and the reason you open your phone again is because you want to see, is there more notifications? Has anyone said anything now, right? There's something that social media is doing to shape you, to change you, to crave that dopamine, to want that dopamine. So the dopamine is actually what motivates you, right? If by lifting up your phone that's released, your brain's going to say, keep doing that, because so there's a motivation there and it's causing you to do something, right? So that's what that dopamine release does. And what he was getting at in this video about motivation, he's saying that he's noticed that when humans achieve and attain the goal, the dopamine that's released is not very comparative to the dopamine that was released in the entire time. And what happens is, because when they achieve the goal, the dopamine that's released isn't as much as they would have thought, then the next time they want to achieve that same goal, guess what's going to happen? They're not going to really work that hard for it, because the outcome, it wasn't as such of a exciting thing as they thought it was. So now let me put this in practical terms. Think about when a person wins the Super Bowl, and then after they win the Super Bowl, they say they're depressed because they have it all. They've done it all. And think about a retired athlete who's decorated with everything he's ever wanted to win, and then he retires and he's depressed because he's done it all. He's lived it all. He has the money, he has the fame, he has the cars, he has the houses, he has everything he's ever dreamed of, and he's still not happy. Why? Because he's got it all, and that didn't release the dopamine thing that he thought it was going to release. And what was actually the joy was the process to get there. The practices, the toiling, the winning the games, the making the big plays, the all of that, right? So all that to say is these videos are kind of just expressing what ordered world that we live in. So Adam's joy, yes, it would have culminated in the glory that he would have attained for his family, but the joy was not just at the very end. The joy was actually the entire time, the entire worship that took place. The process itself was when there was such excitement. Now we live post fall, we live post sin entering the world. So of course I'm not equating that one to one, but I just want to see how God orchestrated this world, and Adam was to enjoy it all as worship, and that he would have been glorified had he attained that glory, and it would have been the culmination of all things. And that's where the dopamine shortage wouldn't have happened, because he would have been glorified. So we'd have been transferred into a glorious state where he would have had a glorious body, and he would have not have needed those things anymore, as it were. And some of that obviously is speculative, but for us, we get, when we die, that's the culmination, right? We behold his glory. We're with him. We're with him in his presence. And for us in Christ, we receive a new state of being, and a new mind, as it were. And we don't have our final state. I mean, this is getting into like a heaven and hell type of discussion, but all that to say is we're transformed. So it's not like we get there and we're going to be let down or something. That's not what I'm saying. But what I'm saying is, in this life, we need to see that the process is the joy, that the motivation is right here, right? Here's your goal, here's where you are. This part in between, the motivation is you doing that for the glory of God, and you keep on coming back to that thing. Why do you think that empty nesters, once their kids are all grown up, they feel sad? Well, it's because all that they were working hard for is behind them now. Now they're just kind of enjoying what's ahead, right? So what I want us, as Christians who are seeking the glory that comes from God and not from man, what I want us is to not think about, well, once I get there, then things will change. No, what I'm saying is, wherever you find yourself right now, and whatever goal you have for the glory of Christ, you need to enjoy that process. And enjoying that process is what's gonna get you to keep coming back to that process, and keep seeking to do things for his glory that are always, in a sense, better than it was last year, right? Do something that is you showing your desire for Christ and his glory even more, because of the gospel that's already become your joy, because of Christ already fulfilling all these things for you. Continue to meditate and start there. But as you're seeking to do things for Christ, as it were, you need to see that stuff in the middle, that mundane, that grit, that day in, day out, that hard work right here. That's it. That's the joy, right? Even at, thinking about this, from someone we don't have a church building, right? This past Sunday, this past Lord's Day, we were in a beautiful church building, right? I'm not gonna say once we're in there, then things will change. No, I'm saying I'm loving every second of this. I'm loving the bouncing around. I'm loving the humble beginnings. I'm loving this community being forged and built. I'm loving the new families coming in. I'm loving every step of the way, because I don't want to get to the new building with, Lord willing, a lot more families and a lot more people, and say, man, I didn't enjoy any of that process, and there be some momentary letdown, as it were. I pray that's not the case, but I just want all of us to see, wherever we're at, right, wherever we're finding ourselves today, let's just enjoy the process. Let's glorify God in the process, right? You have a bunch of little kids around you, enjoy the little years, right? You have older kids, teenage years, don't fuss and whine about it. Enjoy those teenage years. Make the most of those teenage years. In fact, it might be your last years with them in the house. So whatever you see before you today, don't just think, oh, if I just had the goal, if I just had what I'm striving for, if I just had that. What I'm telling you is, this middle road in between, work hard there, go hard there, enjoy that time there. So this whole dopamine stuff, I can see why it makes sense, because we were wired to enjoy the process, to serve God in this middle section, not just at the end, but no, the entire time throughout. We're called to serve God with all our might, with all our strength, with all our being, with all of who we are, for his glory. So let's enjoy this process. Wherever you're at, just enjoy it. Tomorrow morning, enjoy where you're at. Make the most of that. Make the best of that. Seek the glory there, because of what Christ has already done for us. You already have that account settled. So enjoy life. Your sins are already forgiven in Christ. Enjoy your life. Enjoy the process. Even the hard times. You got to see those hard times as something to enjoy, as it were. Count it all joy, because on the other side of this perseverance, on the other side of this endurance, there's more joy, right? There's more excitement. So let's just be those Christians who Don't just say, oh, when this happens, when we have that building, when we have this. But no, just today, just wherever you find yourself today, enjoy that and make the most of it for Christ.